Take a look around. Our world is more prosperous than ever. Today's wealth, innovation and knowledge is unprecedented. Between 1981 and 2001, people living in extreme poverty have decreased from 33 to 18%. In the developing countries, these statistics are even more impressive. In a mere 20 years' time, poverty in these countries has been cut by nearly half, from 40 to 21%. You usually don't hear that from the angry anti-globalization movement. I know, they're pretty scary. Anyway, so how did we get here? What was it that made some countries develop slowly, while others skyrocketed? What can we learn from history? Some globalization critics argue that capitalism paved the way for inequality, and they are right. 200 years ago, the world was pretty much equally poor, that is. But then some countries began to open up their societies. They expanded their freedoms and allowed individuals to keep the fruits of their labor. They became capitalistic, and suddenly they were lifted out of poverty. If they hadn't done that, we would all have been equally impoverished. Critics of capitalism condemn the free markets for creating inequality between rich countries and poor ones. Now, where is the logic in those accusations? If capitalism makes countries that apply it wealthier, and communism and socialism make countries like Cuba, Venezuela, and North Korea poorer, isn't it communism and socialism that should be criticized, rather than the free market capitalism? Isn't the systems that create poverty rather than the ones creating wealth that is the problem? Well, the anti-globalization movement doesn't seem to think so. Strikingly, many have the notion that capitalism is a zero-sum game, that in order for some to profit, others have to fail. Karl Marx was one of these fools. He recognized the tremendous economic growth of the 19th century, but what he failed to realize was the fact that everyone benefited. In his view, by exploiting the workers more and more, the capital owners got richer and richer, and the workers poorer. Now, this couldn't be further from the truth. When Marx died in 1883, the average Englishman was 3 times richer than in 1818 when he was born. The opposite direction plagued the countries that actually adopted Marx's ideology after his death. Before Russia adopted communism in 1917, they were as rich as countries like Spain, Norway, and Finland. 70 years later, they were bankrupt. But maybe the best way to understand all the good things that comes with free market capitalism and free trade is by looking at what happens when a country splits into one capitalistic and one communistic part. This is what happened with Germany. They were the same people, had the same culture and traditions. The only thing that differed was the politics, but it was well enough. After World War II, the western part of Germany allowed entrepreneurs the freedom to keep the fruits of their labor, not to mention freedom of speech and numerous other freedoms. In Eastern Germany and Soviet Union in general, their freedom were taken away. Consequently, West Germany prospered, while East fell apart. Just take a look at the cars that were made in the respective blocks. First off, the shitty pieces of garbage that was the result of central planning. The planners didn't think people needed luxury components like a petrol gauge. So drivers who wanted to know how much gas was left in the tank would have to check it manually with a dipstick. But, that's the least of their problems, because you'd often have to wait for 10 years just to get the car delivered. At the same time, only in the free and capitalist part of the world, the average car was slightly, better.
Out on the horizon, the heart of a Buick, the start of a regal new day. The great American road was made for regal. It's the touch and the feel, the magic in the wheel, the road that regal commands. The great American road is yours in regal.
When the socialists realized that capitalism was a superior system to give the working class a better existence, you would think they would abandon their belief and embrace capitalism. Well, the smart ones did, but most people did not. They tried to save their theory by claiming that the reason for the wealth in the Western world was simply because they were exploiting people in poorer countries. Lenin described that evil Western capitalists was able to bribe workers in third world countries and rob them of their resources, a statement that has little to do with reality. The problem with that theory is that poorer parts of the world have gotten much richer too since the introduction of market liberalization. Sure, the average citizen in Western Europe and United States has today become 19 times richer than in 1820, but the Latin American have gotten 9 times richer, the Asian 6 times richer, and the African 3 times richer. Adding to that, the world population in all of those continents has risen dramatically. So if you still believe the zero-sum game applies, then from whom are we stealing all this wealth? Have we robbed a giant saucer from outer space filled with food and cars and appliances? That seems to be the only logical solution. No, we have created wealth in a free market that has allowed us to be creative and innovative. The countries that have adopted the highest level of economic freedom are also the ones that have seen the highest growth rates. So the message is clear. Embrace liberty.
What mean the world to me is being free. Live and let live and just let it be. Let it be. Love, peace, and harmony. One universal family. One God, one aim, and one destiny.
Oh yeah, imagine life without a choice at all. Giving a vote without a voice at all. These be the problems that we face. I'm talking poverty and race, but no matter what the case, we gotta hold on.